The fast of Tisha B'Av is a major day of mourning, referred often as the saddest day of the year. It commemorates several tragedies throughout the Jewish history that happened around the same date, give or take 2 or 3 days, starting with the destruction of the first and the second temple in Jerusalem, continuing with the expulsion of the Jews from England in 1290, the expulsion of the Jews from France in 1306, the expulsion from Spain in 1492, the beginning of World War I in 1914, as well as some notable horrors during the Holocaust, the expulsion of the Parisian Jews to the concentration camps in 1942, as well as the transfer of the Jews from Ghetto Warsaw to the extermination camp Treblinka. To commemorate all these horrors, many Jews observe the day by fasting, visiting loved ones who have passed, and attending synagogue to hear the Book of Lamentations. So I felt it is my duty to chant for you today from the Book of Lamentations, called in Hebrew Eicha, which means how. Eicha is one of the 5 scrolls, and it has 5 chapters, all poetic laments, that are mourning the destruction of the temple. The book contains horrifying descriptions of the magnitude of the horror with no light at the end of the tunnel. No consolation, no hope. Whether written by Jeremiah or by different poets, as some scholars nowadays suggest, it is told that the author inserted words of hope into the book, hidden in the content and through the changes in the alphabetical form. I decided that if I am to chant for you today, as someone always looking at the half-full glass, I have to look for the intertwined words of hope, of comfort, to find the hope between the lines. And I found something I haven't even imagined. I found sentences I was familiar with before, but I didn't learn them in Bible studies. And I went down the Google rabbit hole to find where I have read them before. I was extremely surprised to find them in the original text of the song that became the hymn of the land of Israel, Hatikva, the hope. More specifically, the old version that is called Hatikva Hanoshana, the olden hope. Naftali Herz-Imber collected and pieced together the entire text from biblical sources. So my next step was obviously to trace the sentences in the original long poem of Hatikva and translate them for you, the entire puzzle of biblical quotations. It went from Samuel to Job to Isaiah to Torah Temimah on Lamentations to Ezekiel to Eicha, Lamentations, and to the text of Kinot, liturgy that was written for Tisha B'Av prayers. All this supposedly hopeless text in the most hopeful hymn that is called the hope, Hatikva. Isn't that something? So here we go. With all the biblical quotes, my translation of the old Hatikva. As long as inside our hearts a Jew's soul still yearns, and toward the east the eye is longing, we have not yet lost our hope, the old hope, to return to the land of our ancestors, to the city where David dwelt. As long as tears from our eyes will drop like rain of elms, and tens of thousands of our people still walk on ancestral graves, we have not yet lost our hope. As long as the wall which we treasure appears in front of our eyes, and there still is a tearful eye for the destruction of the temple, as long as the waters of the Jordan vigorously filling the banks, outpouring, and with joy and loud noise will flow to the Sea of Galilee, as long as pure tears drop from the eyes of the daughters of my people, and weeping for Zion in the beginning of the watches will rise again in the middle of the night, as long as the feeling of patriotism beats in the Jewish heart, we can still hope today that our God will have mercy on us. Here, my friends, in the lands that we wander, Hear the voice of our prophet, that only with the last of the Jews, so will our hope come to an end. Go, my people, in peace. Return to your land. God is your healer with the wisdom of God's heart. Go, my people, in peace, and healing is soon to come. I found the hope in Naftali Herz Imber's help. The hope is in the peace and the healing, and in our legacy, in the generations to come. There's always pain, always something dreadful happening, always bad news. And through the cracks of our sadness and darkness, glimpses of light are sneaking in. We don't always see it. Sometimes we are not looking at the right direction. Sometimes it's well hidden between the lines or behind the words. Lamentations' penultimate verse, which I started this evening with, is the light in the scroll. This hopeful sentence is followed by a much darker one, and our sages, with their wisdom and understanding that it is most important to elevate the spirit with hope, created the tradition of repeating the penultimate verse at the very end. I will be chanting now the last verses of the book. אתה אדוני לעולם תשב, כיסאך לדור ודור. You, God, are enthroned forever. Your throne endures through the ages. למה לנצח תשכחנו, תעזבנו לאורך ימים. Why have you forgotten us utterly, forsaken us for all time? השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו כקדם. Bring us back to you, God. Let us return again. Renew our days as of old. כי ימאוס מאסתנו, קצבת עלינו עד מאוד. For truly you have rejected us, bitterly raged against us. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו מקדם. Bring us back to you, God. Let us return again. Renew our days as of old. And may we always, always find glimpses of hope. Shabbat Shalom.